Just 2 minutes ago, the heavy iron doors to the royal vault beneath Buckingham Palace were slammed shut, the deadbolts turning with a deafening thud under the direct, unyielding orders of Princess Anne. And the target of this unprecedented, military-grade lockdown? None other than Queen Camilla herself. Breaking reports are flooding in that Camilla was just physically denied access to the most sacred chamber of the British monarchy, sparking what frantic palace insiders are already dubbing the Great Vault War. At the dead center of this explosive showdown, Princess Diana's legendary sapphire brooch and her priceless, iconic sapphire ring, irreplaceable heirlooms that Camilla allegedly tried to commandeer for her own personal collection. But the Princess Royal stepped in, blocking her path with eyes full of fury, declaring that the true bloodline will never be erased. But the heart-stopping drama over the glittering crown jewels is only half the story tonight. While Princess Anne fiercely guards the monarchy's legacy in London, a poisonous, unhinged chaos is erupting over at the Sandringham estate. Tonight, we have horrifying, exclusive new details of Prince Andrew's absolutely disgusting behavior and his humiliating eviction rant. Frazzled witnesses say the disgraced Duke was practically foaming at the mouth, screaming, "I am the Queen's son! You can't do this to me!" as stony-faced palace aides handed him his final, non-negotiable marching orders. Trust me, you do not want to click away from this one. Stay until the very end of this video to see the shameful, leaked emails that just exposed Sarah Ferguson's desperate, secret comeback plan. The York family's financial collapse is reaching a terrifying climax. The king is showing no mercy, and the fallout is going to be biblical. Grab your tea, hit that subscribe button, and let's dive into the explosive truth the palace is desperately trying to hide. The palace is in absolute freefall. Royal courtiers are trembling as the staggering details of this morning's explosive confrontation in the subterranean corridors of Buckingham Palace come to light. For weeks, whispers have circulated that Queen Camilla has been quietly, methodically auditing the royal vaults, attempting to reorganize the historic pieces under the guise of preparing for future state banquets. But her eyes were allegedly fixed on the ultimate prizes, the breathtaking sapphire brooch and the legendary engagement ring that once belonged to the late beloved Princess of Wales, Diana. Camilla's audacious move to claim these deeply sentimental, historically charged pieces was seen by the blood royals as the ultimate insult, a poisonous, calculated attempt to overwrite history and wipe Diana's memory from the royal archives. But she vastly underestimated the fierce, unwavering, and utterly terrifying loyalty of Princess Anne. Camilla denied access. The words echoed through the marble corridors as Princess Anne's personally appointed royal guards stood firm, shoulder to shoulder at the vault entrance. Anne didn't just stop the queen consort, she brazenly reclaimed the sapphires on the spot, ensuring they were immediately boxed and placed under a separate, impenetrable security protocol. This wasn't just a petty squabble over diamonds and gold. This is the Great Vault War. It is a brutal, high-stakes battle for the very soul of the monarchy. Anne views herself as the Praetorian Guard of her late mother's legacy, and she refuses to let an interloper drape herself in the spoils of a tragic past. But how did Anne get the staggering authority to override the king's own wife? The answer lies in a shocking, top-secret document that has just surfaced from the deepest royal archives. Palace moles confirm that Princess Anne is acting on a hidden letter left behind by the late Queen Elizabeth II. This explosive directive is further corroborated by a sealed testament recently handed down by the Duke of Kent, a fiercely loyal confidant of the late monarch. This devastating piece of paper legally and morally bypasses King Charles and Camilla entirely. It unequivocally names Catherine, the Princess of Wales, as the true, rightful heir to the crown's most sacred historical legacy. The sealed testament reportedly mandates, in no uncertain terms, that Diana's jewels and the immense soft power and public adoration they represent belong exclusively to the mother of the future king. By wielding this document, Anne has effectively checkmated Camilla, rendering her demands powerless.
And Princess Anne is not fighting this war alone. A massive, highly coordinated power shift is currently sweeping through the House of Windsor, isolating the king's wife. Prince Edward, entirely sickened by the ongoing power grabs and endless PR spin, has reportedly followed his formidable sister's lead. In a stunning, ruthless maneuver, Edward is actively removing Camilla's influence from the prestigious Windsor Lodge and the vast, lucrative Edinburgh estates. In a flurry of closed-door legal meetings with top-tier royal attorneys, Edward is quietly restructuring these ancient trusts. He is signing the deeds and interests interests directly over to his daughter, Lady Louise, and Catherine. The underlying message is crystal clear. The blood royal is circling the wagons. They are fortifying the future of the monarchy, ensuring that the wealth and influence remain strictly within the true lineage, effectively freezing Camilla out of the inner sanctum. This explosive fracturing of the family has been brewing for months, finally boiling over and culminating in a jaw-dropping moment at a recent, highly private state dinner, a moment that left the entire room utterly paralyzed. As Camilla reportedly attempted to assert her dominance over the evening's seating arrangements, boldly placing her own non-royal family members in prominent positions near the head of the table, it wasn't Prince William or even a frustrated Catherine who shut her down. It was young Princess Charlotte. Possessing the icy, regal composure of her late great-grandmother, Elizabeth, Charlotte reportedly looked directly at Camilla and delivered a quiet, piercingly observant remark about who truly belongs at the side of the king and whose blood will ultimately wear the crown. The room went dead silent. The clinking of crystal and silver stopped. You could hear a pin drop. Veteran courtiers were holding their breath as Camilla's face flushed a deep crimson, caught in a humiliating mixture of utter shock and simmering rage. It was a stark, undeniable reminder from a child that the future of the monarchy belongs to William, Catherine, and their heirs, not the current queen consort. But as Catherine and her fierce, uncompromising allies, Princess Anne and Prince Edward, secure the glittering legacy of the crown and win the Great Vault War, another, much darker storm is brewing on the horizon. While the battle for the monarchy's soul rages in the opulent halls of London, the royal family is simultaneously dealing with a crisis of epic, catastrophic proportions out in the country. The walls are rapidly, violently closing in on the monarchy's most toxic and disgraceful liability. Prince Andrew thought he was untouchable. He thought he could defy the king's eviction notices. He thought he could cling to his lavish, taxpayer-funded lifestyle in the sprawling royal lodge forever. But his arrogant defiance has just triggered a devastating response. A brutal, unprecedented 8 a.m. wake-up call is about to shatter his delusions, tear away his remaining dignity, and plunge the entire York family into a humiliating abyss of absolute downfall. The reckoning of Prince Andrew is here, and it is going to be spectacular. Grab your teacups, royal watchers, because the tea we are spilling today is scalding hot. If you thought the Great Vault War was the peak of palace drama, brace yourselves for the absolute, unmitigated destruction of Prince Andrew. For years, the disgraced Duke of York has lurked behind the heavily guarded gates of his 30-room Windsor mansion, acting as though the rules of human decency simply do not apply to him. But the velvet ropes have officially been cut, and his protective shield has been violently shattered. It is no longer a secret. Top-tier international diplomats and highly respected British TV stars have aggressively stepped forward, and they have completely exposed Andrew for exactly what he is. In a series of blistering, on-the-record leaks, they have uniformly branded him a ghastly man, a deeply arrogant, insufferable bully who has terrorized palace staff and embarrassed the crown on the global stage for decades. The silence has broken, and the floodgates of Andrew's horrific behavior have burst wide open. Behind the scenes of his chaotic, fiercely contested eviction from the Royal Lodge, the situation has devolved into pure, unadulterated madness. Palace aides and long-suffering domestic workers have been left entirely frazzled, broken down, and deeply humiliated by his tyrannical demands. As King Charles's enforcers meticulously pack up the Duke's lavish belongings, Andrew has been terrorizing the very people trying to help him. Insiders report a relentless string of bizarre midnight delivery requests. We are talking about unhinged 2 a.m. demands for exotic meals to be flown in, furious tantrums over how his collection of stuffed teddy bears is being handled, and screaming matches with footmen who fail to iron his shoelaces to his exact psychotic specifications. He is treating the royal staff like his personal, indentured servants, completely oblivious to the fact that his royal status is practically entirely evaporated. But King Charles is not playing games anymore. The monarch has drawn a line in the sand and implemented incredibly strict new rules for his disgraced brother. Charles has permanently revoked Andrew's access to the main, luxurious quarters of the Sandringham estate. No more roaring fireplaces, no more private chefs,
and absolutely no more mingling with the working royals. When Andrew was handed this devastating new rulebook, he erupted into a monstrous, massive tantrum that reportedly shook the historic walls of the estate. Witnesses describe a scene of absolute, pathetic desperation. Pacing the floor, red in the face, and violently swatting away his aides, Andrew launched into a humiliating eviction rant that will go down in royal infamy. "You cannot do this to me," he reportedly screamed, his voice cracking with panicked rage. "I am the Queen's son. I am the Queen's favorite son. I demand respect." But there was no respect left to give. His screaming fell on deaf ears. Instead of the opulent royal lodge, Charles is effectively banishing him to a remote, ramshackle property on the outer, freezing edges of the Sandringham estate. Forget the charming, comfortable wood farm. Andrew is reportedly being exiled to a horrifying, damp marsh farm that hasn't been properly renovated in decades. Palace insiders have described the proposed new residence as genuinely smelly, plagued by rising damp, drafty windows, and the lingering stench of old agricultural decay. It is the ultimate downgrade. The nearby locals in Norfolk are absolutely howling with laughter, brutally mocking the disgraced prince as he is forced to move into what they are viciously calling his new, pathetic divorce home. And yet, the moldy walls of a marsh farm might be the absolute least of his worries. The walls of justice are closing in even faster. In a breaking narrative that has sent shockwaves through the global media, terrifying new reports are surfacing about an imminent, devastating legal strike against the Duke. We are talking about the explosive, long-feared scenario of an 8 a.m. arrest. Imagine the scene: dawn breaking over the misty Norfolk marshes, the sudden crunch of tires on gravel, and the blinding flash of blue police lights illuminating the smelly, drafty windows of his marsh farm. According to highly placed legal insiders, authorities are preparing to treat him exactly like the common criminal the public believes him to be. The velvet gloves are off. Sources claim that specialized units have drawn up protocols for a full, humiliating booking process, complete with invasive DNA swabs, harsh, fluorescent-lit mugshots, and a complete stripping of any remaining royal dignity. He won't be His Royal Highness sitting in an interrogation room. He will be just another suspect, fingerprinted and humiliated, forced to use his one phone call as the entire world watches his catastrophic downfall on live television. The image of Prince Andrew, the man who once arrogant gloated in BBC interviews and rubbed shoulders with the world's most toxic billionaires, being physically detained and subjected to a degrading DNA swab, is a staggering testament to how far the mighty have fallen. The palace is absolutely terrified of the optics, but King Charles has reportedly made it clear the crown will not interfere. Andrew is completely, utterly on his own. But as Andrew faces the terrifying reality of Marsh Farm banishment and the looming threat of an 8 a.m. arrest, he isn't the only one in the York family whose life is rapidly, violently disintegrating. The Duke's catastrophic downfall has triggered a massive, uncontrollable domino effect, and the next victim is the woman who has stubbornly stood by his side through every disgusting scandal. Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, has long survived by mooching off her ex-husband's taxpayer-funded lifestyle and trading on her royal connections. But with Andrew's eviction and the king's brutal financial cutoffs, Fergie's gravy train has violently derailed. The York family is currently in the throes of a complete, catastrophic financial collapse. The shameful, leaked emails we promised you at the start of this video, they expose a woman at her absolute financial breaking point, completely disheveled and frantically begging for a lifeline as her money runs completely dry. Wait until you hear the absolutely pathetic, desperate lengths Fergie is going to just to keep a roof over her head, and the explosive £100,000 scandal involving Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie that might just get the entire York bloodline stripped of their titles forever. You will not believe what the king has uncovered next. As the walls of the Marsh farm close in on Prince Andrew, a parallel disaster is completely destroying the woman who has stubbornly enabled him for decades. Sarah Ferguson has officially reached a terrifying financial breaking point. Without Andrew's taxpayer-funded lifestyle to leech off of, and King Charles ruthlessly cutting off the royal purse strings, Fergie is in freefall. Sources close to the Duchess say she has been spotted looking completely disheveled, wandering through high-end alpine spas with declined credit cards, essentially reduced to elite couch surfing among her dwindling circle of wealthy, pitying friends. How did she blow her fortune this time? Palace accountants have unearthed a trail of financial madness that defies belief. Forget sensible investments. Fergie has allegedly managed to burn through a staggering £4 million on absolute nonsense, bizarrely itemized in royal audits as luxury jewelry, coat hangers, and veggies. Yes, you heard that right. Millions squandered on bespoke wardrobe infrastructure, bizarre, holistic vegetable juice cleanses, and sham wellness gurus, leaving her bank accounts completely decimated. Desperate to avoid bankruptcy, Fergie hatched a secret, highly lucrative comeback plan, but that plan has just violently collapsed. Tonight, we have the exclusive details of the shameful emails that were just leaked from her frantic PR team. These explosive, humiliating documents show her agents practically begging American television executives for a trashy reality show deal, offering to spill Windsor secrets for a quick paycheck. But television networks took one look at her toxic association with Andrew and slammed the door in her face. The comeback is dead, and the emails have fully exposed her as a desperate grifter willing to sell out the crown to save her own skin. But the York family's financial rot doesn't stop with Fergie. If we look at the hard, undeniable royal family UK data, the apple has not fallen far from the tree. Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie are currently under a brutal, unprecedented microscope for their own obscene spending habits. While the British public battles a crippling cost of living crisis, these two non-working royals have been living like billionaires on the king's dime. Palace ledgers have just exposed a sickening trail of luxury yachts chartered in the Mediterranean, six-figure holidays to exclusive ski resorts, and endless racks of custom designer fashion, all secretly subsidized by royal discretionary funds. But the gravy train has hit a brick wall. A devastating £100,000 payment scandal has just exploded inside the palace gates. Secret palace whistleblowers have flagged a highly suspicious, unexplained £100,000 royal expense payment funneled directly into the York daughters' accounts to cover security and styling. King Charles was reportedly left absolutely blinded by rage when he saw the invoice. The king has issued a brutal, non-negotiable ultimatum: reimburse the crown immediately or face the ultimate punishment. The threat of them losing their titles is no longer a distant rumor. It is an active, impending reality. Palace insiders confirm that legal paperwork is already being drafted to strip Beatrice and Eugenie of their HRH statuses entirely, permanently reducing them to private citizens and cutting them off from the royal vault forever. The York bloodline is being systematically erased from the monarchy's future. While the York family spirals into financial ruin and disgrace, a ruthless, incredibly efficient new order is seizing absolute control of the monarchy. Prince William and Princess Catherine are no longer waiting for the king to clean house. They are taking matters into their own hands with surgical precision. Prince William has just executed a massive, historic legal maneuver that will send shivers down the spine of Montecito. In a completely unannounced move, William has officially, permanently removed Prince Harry from all remaining legal paperwork tied to the prestigious royal foundation. But he didn't just erase his brother, he fundamentally secured the bloodline. William has signed all of Harry's former interests and legacy trusts directly over to young Prince George. This was a bold, highly calculated strike, a declaration that the future of the monarchy's philanthropic empire belongs solely to the direct heirs. The Sussexes are out, and the future King George is officially on the board. But the most staggering power shift has just occurred behind closed doors at Windsor Castle. In a highly secure private meeting, Catherine, the Princess of Wales, sat down with Sophie, the fiercely loyal Duchess of Edinburgh. What happened in that room has permanently altered the royal hierarchy. The two most popular, hardworking women in the royal family formed an unbreakable alliance, effectively consolidating total control over the monarchy's domestic and public-facing operations. Palace sources confirm that this private meeting has officially ended Camilla's authority over palace decisions. The Queen Consort's attempts to dictate staff hires, control guest lists, and hoard Princess Diana's sapphires have been entirely neutralized by Catherine and Sophie's united front. The staff now report to the Princess of Wales. The new order has arrived, and it is ruthless, pristine, and completely focused on protecting the true heirs of the crown. From the explosive, subterranean battles of the Great Vault War to the humiliating, catastrophic downfall of Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson, the British monarchy is experiencing a seismic, historic purge. The dead weight is being brutally cut loose, and the true bloodline is fortifying its power like never before. But this breaking news alert leaves us with one massive, lingering question, and we need to hear from you. The battle over the Windsor estates has reached a boiling point. So, what do you think? Should Prince Andrew be allowed to miraculously keep his ironclad 75-year lease on the £30 million Royal Lodge? Or is it time for King Charles to send in the royal guards and ensure he is evicted immediately? Do you think the drafty, smelly Marsh farm is exactly what the disgraced Duke deserves? viewers. Drop your thoughts, your outrage, and your royal tea down in the comments section right now. The debate is raging, and we want to know what side of history you are on. If you were shocked by today's explosive revelations, you haven't seen anything yet. Make sure you hit that like button, share this video with your fellow royal watchers, and absolutely smash that subscribe button with the notification bell turned on. You do not want to miss our next massive update, where we will dive into the untold stories and the haunting history behind Andrew's new divorce home, plus the impending legal nightmare waiting for the York sisters. Stay tuned, stay informed, and we will see you in the next video for more explosive royal family secrets.